Hey guys, the POV photo guy is here, and today I'm talking about the OM system newly released camera, the OM-1 Mark II. Before we go and dive deep in the camera specification, I want to let you know this video is not sponsored or not compensated by any means by the OM system or any other party. I just got the camera for a few days for testing out. I have to give it back. So let's talk about the new OM-1 Mark II camera. What is very similar to the OM-1 camera, what you can see the video, I already made a video last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember it. I know I was not so active in this channel. I'm building my wedding photo and videography and also building a lot of side businesses. I want to came back to the YouTube, and hopefully this year it's happening, because hopefully I'm opening my studio. I'm hired an assistant who will help me to make the videos, so hopefully I'm coming back. So let's talk about the camera and the great news. OM system not only released a camera but released a new lens, the MUSICBED 150 to 600. Yes, 600. This is an ultra telephoto lens. The aperture is f5 to 6.3 and it has a built-in stabilization. So it's a really massive ultra telephoto lens, and as you might know, OM system has a 2-point teleconverter, so you can double the reach of the lens. So it's equivalent to 300 to 1200, and if you double and use the teleconverter, it can be 600 to 2400. That's a huge, you can easily shoot skies just to the ground. I'm not a landscape photographer, so this telephoto lens is absolutely not for me, but I know a lot of people will very happy for it, because even it's a big lens, it's way smaller and less heavier than the other competitors' full frame lenses. As I said, the OM-1 Mark II has very similar to the OM-1. It looks exactly the same. Sizes, weight, everything is the same. Only you can see two difference, and the very small difference, the third difference is very small. So the first difference you can see now, it's OM system. As you know, when Olympus changed the name to OM system, the first OM-1 camera, what is the new generation OM-1 camera, it still come out with the Olympus logo, and it has the OM system logo here. And the next camera was the OM-5 camera, and it had the OM system sign on it. But the OM-1 Mark II is the first OM-1 camera what has the OM system logo in it. And the third very small change is with this button, the raw button, it got a rubbery feel. The other one just full plastic. I really love this one. It's much more smoother and much more easier to roll around. And also another difference, the menu is here. The OM-1 menu was here also, but you can now configure the menu system to the right side. To be honest, I was not a huge fan when they changed the menu button to the left side, because everyone holding the camera in your right hand, and when you, for example, hold a big telephoto lens or a bigger lens for landscape photography, it's really hard to manage it, because you can hold the camera with your left hand, so it's way more convenient to use the menu on the right hand. So now you have the option to configure the menu button to the right side. But other than that, everything is the same. And also a lot of things inside is the same. For example, the processor and the sensor. The processor is the same Truepic X, and the sensor is 20.4 megapixel. Someone can say 20.4 megapixel is not a lot, but I think a lot of people who are complaining about the megapixels are beginner photographers. If you are a real professional photographer, you will never talk about the megapixel. You talk about the aesthetics of the photo, you talk about how you edit the photo, how you light your scene, how you achieved a certain look. but you never talk about, okay, this is like 20 megapixel or this is like 40 megapixel, 50 megapixel. No, so this is just marketing, and a lot of people are falling to this marketing and looking forward to, I want more megapixel, but it's absolutely not about that. So go learn photography, how to take nice photos first, and then we can talk about megapixel, but after that you can realize megapixel is nothing. The other similarities is the EVF and the LCD screen, what is the exact same as the OM-1. If you haven't seen my video about the OM-1, you can watch it back here. I suggest you to watch my OM-1 video first and came back and watch this video, because in this video I'm focusing on the new features of the OM-1 Mark II. OM system has a few cameras now, and they are very niching down and targeting for the bird, wildlife, nature, landscape and micro photographers. And I get it, because even these cameras are slightly bigger than the original Olympus cameras, the M5, the M10. It's still smaller, and well, maybe not in the body anymore, because the new cameras are getting smaller and smaller, but the lenses are still crazy small. A lot of wildlife photographer, landscape photographer, traveling a lot, walking a lot all day, and they very care about how much weight they carry the whole day. And the OM system has a very compact body, and the lenses are super small. So for portability, weight, size, it's no-brainer. The OM system camera has very good choice if you're a landscape or wildlife photographer. And also let me tell you a story. Nowadays I'm very getting into the wedding photography, and I'm also shooting as a second shooter for ultra luxury weddings like 5, 10, 20 million dollars wedding. And one of the leader just hired me as a second photographer, and he saw my portfolio. He asked what cameras I'm using. I told them I use OM system and Olympus cameras, and he was fine with it because he loved my work, my portfolio. And I went to the wedding, and during the day he just looked at my camera, and I see he was confused. And in the evening when I showed him the photos and he saw on the computer, he was just sitting and looking at the photos, and he doesn't understand. He was very confused, and I was like smiling, and he just asked me, okay Daniel, just tell me what is this camera and how can you achieve the almost exact same look as he achieved with the bigger and heavier and more way expensive cameras. And I said, man, that's it. So that's a big proof for me. Even I know I don't have to prove to anyone, because my works are showcased from city lights to booths to everywhere prints. So I know I don't have to prove to anyone, but it's always, I'm very happy and always like smiling inside, like, yes, this camera is capable for very high-end work. Quickly run through the similarities. It has also a dual slot SD card. OM system cameras has a really nice weather sealing body. It has dust and splash proof, and also freeze proof for -10 degrees. And to be honest, I tell you from first hand, that's just on the paper like -10, but you can use it for -20 as well. My old PNF camera, what is like 7 years old, I always tell it when I'm go to skiing, it always with me under my jacket, and sometimes I'm skiing in like -20 degrees, and there is no problem with the camera to shoot. So yes, in hard conditions, the OM sister cameras are stand out really nice. And now let's talk about the difference between the Mark I and the Mark II. The buffer size of the memory are doubled, so now you can able to shoot in 50 frames per second up to 216 photos. So technically your SD card is not capable to save as quick as you shoot, but your camera memory is capable with this extended buffer, and also in 120 FPS mode the camera buffer can save up to 255 photos. I think the OM system camera stabilization is the best on the market. It has a 5-axis stabilization, and now the OM Mark II goes up to 8.5 stop stabilization. That's huge. I don't know if any camera is capable for that. For example, the competitor Panasonic SH5 capable for 6 stop, and I checked the Sony, maybe the flagship A9 third is capable for 8 stop, and the Sony's price is 3 times more than the OM-1 Mark II camera. The autofocus is slightly improved from the previous model. It uses AI technology to help with focusing, and now we have the human autofocus. And yes, before we have the face and eye detection, but this is different. This is way more focused on the human body, and we have the bird, the train, the car and the animals tracking focus as well, what we already have in the previous model. And now let's talk about some very interesting features, what I'm sure the landscape and the nature photographers will die. The first is not a new one. The live ND was already there, but now the live ND went up to 128 stop. Before that it was only 64 stop. This is a digital ND filter, and why it's important for you. So the ND filter we usually use when we have a lot of light, for example in a sunny day, and we want to shoot like a waterfall or an ocean or something like floating, and we want to shoot like a very smooth long exposure. We have to crank up the shutter and play with the settings, but it's too sunny, too bright, and we cannot going down with ISO and everything lower, so we have to use ND filters. So you have to carry different NDs for different lenses. It's really hard to keep up with. Now with the OM system built-in ND live filter, you don't have to use ND filters anymore. And the big one is the GND, the graduated ND filter. What is revolutionary and no other company has it. So let's talk about the graduated ND filter. If you're shooting, for example, a landscape, and you know the exposition can be different, like the sky is very bright and your land is like very dark, you have different options. The first option, you can take different exposure photos and merge it together in Photoshop. The second option, you have an ND filter, but not the circle one, but the rectangular one. And you know there is a difference than the upper part and the down part. The upper part is darker, the down part is like a normal one, because you need a darker area for your sky. Or the third option, you can take the photo and bring it to Lightroom and use a graduated filter inside Lightroom. But now with the built-in digital graduated filter, you can use it in live mode, and it is very cool. When you shoot in horizontal and switch to vertical, it automatically switches to you, and not only use it as like horizontal, but you can rotate the graduate so you can use it however you want. I know it's better to use it on a tripod, not handheld, because handheld is not the best one, because it's a live view. You can see exactly the same time how it's tried to compensate the part that you graduating, so it looks like you are shooting a video in slow shutter, but it's not, it's in photo mode. But because it's trying to achieve the look for you, it has the logging what you see. The SH2 continuous burst photo mode was fabulous. It has option for 25 frames per second or 50 frames per second. But a lot of customers said they not really need the 50 frames per second. For example, when you are shooting on a tripod a bird, and the bird is just go away faster than 50 frames per second, you don't really need that much photo because the bird is already gone. So now they added two new options for the SH2 mode, and one of them is the 12.5 and the second is the 16.7 picture, but I don't know how you can shoot a 0.7 photo, but it is on the paper. If you are a nature or landscape photographer, you will love this camera. It has high-res mode up to 80 megapixel on tripod and 50 megapixel on handheld, what is huge. And now they improved the RAW, and now it's capable to shoot 14-bit of RAW. And now let's talk about the video features. The OM system is not the strongest as we're talking about the video features. It has 4K 60 frames per second. It has 8-bit color, and yes, technically it's capable for 10-bit recording, but you have to use an external recorder, for example an Atomos Ninja. The autofocus is improved. As you see on the video, I just compared to the OM-1 to the OM-1 Mark II, and you can see the difference. The OM-1 Mark II are faster catch up with the human face recognition and faster with focusing, but this is on a tripod, and I'm looking forward to see in real life performance when I'm on the street and shooting with it. It got the vertical shooting what the OM-5 camera already has, and it's really necessary if you shoot a lot of content, for example for Instagram or TikTok. You don't have to rotate inside the Final Cut or Premiere, so you already have it. And also a feature from the OM-5 camera, the OM-1 Mark II camera is capable for web camera, so you can easily plug to USB-C and you can use it as a web camera. So that was my review, and I'm really interested in what are you think about the new camera. What are you missing, what are you expected, or what are you love the new feature of this camera. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. It means a lot for me as a small creator, and hopefully I'm came back very soon. Bye.